Hey, I think I'm live here. All right, guys. Let's see. Oh, 11 people in. Okay, great. If someone can just really quickly say hi or that they hear me, that would be fantastic. Chat should be open. As you guys get settled in here. Today will not be one of those long rambling live streams I typically do. I will try to get to some chat questions and some comments in there. Thank you very much. All right, they're all coming through now. Thank you guys for jumping on. And another one of those very quick impromptu live streams. So once again, boy, we're getting more people here. 27. All right, we will talk about through your comments. I just want to go through the first few minutes, just giving a little update on some of the thoughts of what I saw today with Palantir. I know we've been talking so much about Palantir. You guys are probably sick of it. Some of you are sick of it. And then we'll talk a little bit about the GameStop hearing, and then I'll finish up with some comments, but I'm going to really try to hold this to not be more than 20 to 30 minutes. So I'll try to get as much to as I can get here. All right. So today was an interesting day, and just for clarification, the what apparently happened with Palantir, we've talked about the lockups. We knew it was going to be the third trading day, the beginning of the third trading day. It ended up that they counted the day of the earnings. So if there was any confusion on that, I definitely apologize for that. But the expirations happen, and I think if you have stock, it's probably was not the worst situation. It seemed like early on it opened low, it rebounded, and then it sort of stayed. It basically hovered around that $25 range, and to me, that's a pretty good sign. It doesn't mean that it can't go a little bit lower over the next week or so, but the fact that it's also been down about really about 40-some% from that intraday high just about 3 weeks ago, where it hit $45. I know it didn't close there. Again, it just makes me feel like that the downside risk is probably not going to get to under 20. I know there's a lot of people think that, and and I'll be the first to tell you, I get this all the time. People get frustrated with me. They think I just don't like Palantir, and it has nothing to do with it. I just never saw them trading as high as they did, as quick as they did, especially from where they opened in the end of September. So while I feel like, it still is a valuation, you could discuss that. I still feel like because of how the market is, everything, has rebounded so well from the pandemic that this might just be where it is, and it's not going to ever go back down below 20. So it's hard to say, but those are just some thoughts. I did want to share just there, in case you guys haven't seen it, there was an article from Benzinga from Shante Rexeline, where they actually talked about some of the analysts. And again, analysts are not they're not prognosticators like they think they might be, but I just wanted to share some of that, and then we'll quickly talk about GameStop, and then I'll get to some more comments, because again, I want to not just talk on and on in here. But so some of the analysts that's come out since the earnings report, Goldman Sachs actually was probably the most positive one. They actually increased their price target from $13 to $34. Morgan Stanley, Keith Weiss, we've talked about it in some other videos where he's sort of been negative on the company. He didn't really improve it at all. He went from $17 to $19. So I don't know if that was much there to report. Credit Suisse, we've talked about Brad Zelnick. He also did very incremental upgrade. Really maintained an unperformed call, but from $17 to $20. And then William Blair just basically downgraded from market perform to underperform. And just some really a couple things, because I mentioned this on the last video that we talked about on the earnings. We're sort of talked about some of the things I wanted to see. One of those was that I wanted to know from the earnings report, like really what was the total customer count? How has that changed? And what we had here, and I actually have some little notes here. So, in the S1 filing, when Palantir put out RIP for they went public, they said in the first half of 2020, they had 125 total customers. Morgan Stanley did give some more information on this, which I had not heard. So maybe you had, and if you did, I didn't. But for 2019, they had a total of 135 customers. And then at 2020, they went went up to 139. So net customers, we've seen some contracts come, but we don't know what they've lost. So it's hard to say. According to his numbers, there was a net gain of 4 customers. That doesn't tell you about revenue. So, I still think the earnings report was very positive overall. And if they can get 50 or 5 years worth of 30% gains and hit $4 billion, they're going to be doing great there. So, and then there was one other call that I had heard too. This was from a Barron's article. It was on Citibank. They actually have a maintained sell at $15. That's the lowest target right now. So that's what they say. It doesn't mean that's what it's going to be. Obviously, there's been another positive statement from Kathy Wood on the stock. Looks like they added to their share the other day of Palantir. So looking pretty strong. And there was, Palantir did they released another a new contract again. I don't think there was terms on that. Couldn't tell. It wasn't a big company. I think it's more of a legal type company. So just off the top of my head there. All right, we're going here. But anyways, just today, so I think that the price might have been, we talk about lockups and the trends that they will go down, especially when they trade higher from the open. Well, they've been going down for the last 3 weeks. The question is, will they go any more? I would say, if you're holding stock and you like the company long term, again, I would not worry at this point. If you're one of those short-term traders, you want to keep an eye on a few things. See what happens over the next week. Keep an eye on insider trades. That's something that might come a little bit later down, so it's not on that focus on day one. At the end of the day, again, I think their guidance was pretty strong, and I think that this was not the. When I told you guys in the past how I got on Beyond Meat when it just cratered, that was an opportunity for me. And today, I would look for an opportunity if it really cratered and it didn't. I still feel like it's a little value too much for me right now. That doesn't mean that's me. I think everything's expensive right now, so take that for what it's worth. And then the other big thing today, obviously, was the GameStop hearing, and I watched most of that today. Yesterday I was so tied up, so if anybody comments I didn't get to yesterday, just got really busy. But today I did spend some time. I made some time for that today. And so the big thing, if you watched it or if you didn't watch it, a lot of the focus was on Robinhood. We didn't know if they were going to talk more about short selling, changing that, but they really focused a lot on the CEO. Tenet was there, and he had a lot of good. He asked it every time. He said, "Thank you for your question." It was so monotonous after a while. But the focus really was on Robin. There was also some talk about transaction taxes. There did not seem to be any positive momentum for that, other than a few lawmakers wanted to do that. Nobody wants to see that, so hopefully that does not happen. And then they actually had Roaring Kitty on there. Keith Gill, and sort of interesting, when you actually heard him talk, he still would buy GameStop at this price. He was saying that was interesting. And then the stock popped. They had on CNBC, they had the price of it going up as he was talking. Not long after, it went down. It was down for the day. So, anyways, that was the big thing there. I really was expecting to see more on the short selling talk. Citadel was probably the second. The Citadel CEO was probably the second person that got the second most grilling. But Melvin Capital was there. There was hardly really not much there. So anyways, we'll talk about some questions that you might have from watching it. I wanted to really leave as much time with just interacting with you guys in the live chat. All right. Yes. So CC Ivy Churchill. That is something that it just looks like it's going to happen. The frustrating thing is that it hasn't, and it seems like it's just imminent. And if I think on the last live stream it came up, and you get so confused with these tickers. It's one of those I've watched, and of course I did talk a little bit on our IPO this week at the last part of that video. If you guys saw that, for me, SPACs are just hard for me. I'm just probably less risk averse, more risk averse than most of the people in the community. And when you don't know, but if you're gambling one way or the other, I think there's a good chance that this is going to happen, and the price just keeps saying it's going to. If it doesn't, though, it's going to go bad. I think there's so much positive with Lucid Motors. They're getting close to actually have something out. Unlike some of the other EV situations, so I talked about how they were a little bit further advanced. So I wish I could tell you more. I mean, I've always tell you guys, I don't have this inside information. If I did, I would tell it to you. I think if I was a betting person, I think it's going to happen. And if something happened today and I missed it, which is possible. The last I saw it, still nothing has been announced. What's up with Palantir? So we talked a little bit about Palantir already. Again, I would say if you believe in the company, I do. I think the biggest thing that has come out with some of the analysts and some of the things that I believe is they're still really growing more on the government side versus the commercial side. And so even when we talk about the net customers of being +4 over the year 2020, 2019, again, doesn't mean they weren't bigger customers, so that's hard to say. But revenue growth on the commercial side was about 4%, whereas on the government side was about 85%. So that's always been one of my biggest things. I think Palantir is going to be fine. If they just did their government work, they're going to be fine. I just feel that way. But if you want to get the higher valuations to justify that, you have to continue to grow. If you want to be a 30%, if you want to be valued at getting 30+% per year, for the next 5 years, you're gonna have to deliver. And what they're looking at, some of the people have reported that the third quarter revenue was higher than the fourth quarter. They expect the first quarter to be higher than the overall year of 2021. So those are some concerns. So I think that was probably what the earnings was picked apart about, and then just knowing the lockups were out there. But the lockups not going crazy and selling off, I think, is a positive sign for anybody that holds shares. So it's one of those you probably just want to hang in there if you believe in them. UAVS. Okay, you know what? I'll always go through these later. I don't have anything to talk about now. I'll add that. Yep, there's a new partnership contract. Again, I didn't have the name of that one with me. I saw it this morning, and I think it's, again, some type of a legal type of thing. I don't have any other information. Hi, what price would you buy Palantir at? Again, this is just me at this point, I have to be honest with you guys. I'm always honest with you guys. The last couple of months, I've been more trimming some things versus buying a lot. Everything just seems so expensive to me. So with Palantir, I feel like this is one of those big hurdles that's passed. So if you were worried about them going way down, I think that we're past where it's going to go way down. I don't think that's going to happen. Do I think that you could make a strong justification that $25, and I know I put this in the comments with somebody today, I don't predict because I'm not good at it. I think your downside is somewhat limited at this point. I don't think it's going to go much lower. Would I like to see it a little bit lower before I would buy it back in? Yes. But I'm somebody that didn't see it going past $20 by the time of this lockup. So when you think about what I think, you got to take that in consideration. I thought after that first month of trading around $10, if you got to 19.20, which is where I was looking, that's where, I think now you can make the argument for a higher price, obviously, just again because of the overall market. But I'm always looking for. I like growth stocks, but I try to look at it with a value perspective, and I just feel like it's still a little rich for me. But I could see if you wanted to buy it right now at 25, I couldn't argue that that's a bad call. Just like I felt like on the day we talked about the direct listing when it was trading around $10. People asked me, did I think it was overpriced? No. Do I think you could have maybe got it at a better price based on what we knew on the private markets? Yes, but I just didn't feel like that was overpriced. And right now, I don't know if I'd say it's overpriced. It's probably just a little more than I would want to spend for myself. So I can't really take that whatsoever. Never buy or sell because you think of a prediction. I try not to do predictions because of that. So we talked a little bit. I'm jumping ahead. Sorry here. 20 to 25. I think that's solid. I think it could still go down. I think this is the big hurdle, but I think that there's still potential short side risk. I just don't think it's going to be a huge risk. 61. Let's see if I'm covering 39% commercial. Yeah, so there is, okay, so we talked about that, and this is a good thing, Adil, if I'm saying your name wrong, I apologize. So what I saw, and you guys can do this, if you ever go into NASDAQ, NASDAQ.com, there is a list for any company, there's insider trading. And I saw that the same thing that you just mentioned about the sells. These look like automatic buy sell types of things. So that's probably, it's a different situation than, because if you look at the buy, it's like an automatic buy type of thing. And you see this a lot. I don't know the 100% rules on this, but my guess is that's not what was counted as locked up shares. So that's just what I said. But what I would do going forward, I would be looking for specifically when you see like a sell and buy this on the same day by the same person. It's basically usually something of an option, or they're coming. It's an automatic pre-planned thing. You start seeing a big sell and there's nothing that's being bought, then that could be a red flag that they're thinking that this is where it's going to be for a while. So take that for what it's worth. Again, I check into those things, but I didn't see anything that made me think that there was anything crazy going on there. So it's a good point, though, for mentioning that. Manuel, yeah, it did expire today. And I mentioned at the top, if you joined a little bit late, they apparently, because they did we talked about this on some videos where in the S1, it talked about the date, 3 days after the date of the release that they saw that trading, it would expire. So my math, it was Friday, and I didn't see anybody else reporting anything until early this week. And I saw somebody actually confirm that on a couple, published sites. And I thought, okay, well, that's good, because I always like to confirm myself, that I tried to just put that out. But apparently what they started to do is because they released earnings before that, before trading started on Tuesday, that they counted that as day one, the clock started there. So I didn't find out until basically late last night. So again, I apologize for anything if there's any confusion there. Jen, you sold all of your as soon as the market opened after the earnings. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, and a lot of times it's all when you bought in. For the people that have bought in from day one, I've often said like you're in a good position. So if you were there, you're doing great. Okay, Delonte, carbs saw in the private market, which they can do among the, yeah, okay, that's probably what. Yeah, again, target prices, I'm not good at. I try, like when I look at a price, I don't try to think where it's going to be. I try to think, is it good now? And if there's some type of a short-term, short-term issue with it, that it takes, like people overreact to something, like that's what a lot of times I look. Because when I look at Palantir, 5 months ago, I didn't see them getting this high that they did. But now that they've gotten into the $45, they were there, they've traded into the 30s. Could I see them easily getting back into the 30s? I could. I think what's going to be interesting to see is how people react to the next couple of weeks and see if there are any bigger sell-offs. One of the things we knew was that George Soros basically said he was going to sell off his shares. Now, that doesn't mean he never says he's going to do it on day one. That would put pressure down, because I think there's let's say close to 20 million shares that he has. Now, again, he could sell it over a period of time. Who knows? You just want to sort of keep an eye on things. I'm a big believer in not making, unless you really know something, to do all at once. Like if you want to buy the company, I'm not always big in like putting 100% in on that time. Like I might put a little bit in, a little bit in, a little bit in, and whatever. So that if it goes down, then I'm getting it a little bit cheaper. It's not dollar cost averaging. That's just me. So again, I think right now, based on everything in the market, I think 25, and it was hugging there. I could see it going a little bit less. I don't think it's going to go crazy here. $99. I've seen so many people have like, I saw before the end of the year, I saw some people with like $100, $150, which I just couldn't see, but it got higher than I thought. So, Xander, you're welcome. Thanks for being able to jump on, and love your comments. And you got to be a dentist. Got to be a dentist. It's great to have you. Yeah. So they started selling today, and again, that's just again, just from a clarification point. Again, if there's anybody that messed up because of me, like I said, I always try to tell you, like, I'm not an expert on this, but yeah, they did start today, and again, and I put a message out and updated all of my the comments that I put on there, so that anybody, if you ever check my videos before a trade, you can always see that. But I did try to put a community post out as soon as I was able to do that. So if any confusion, I can apologize. Yes. So Kathy Wood, she's a superstar right now. She bought some more, and I would say, David, as you put on there on your post, thanks for putting that on there. It still feels rich to me. It doesn't feel like it's crazy rich, but it feels like, is there an opportunity for be less? I sort of keep thinking that the whole market is going to have just a little bit of a pullback, and it could pull Palantir in there. So could it go a little bit into the lower 20s? It could. Again, I just don't know. A lot of great comments in here, and I'm going to hold this to 5 today because you guys know how I can go. And anybody that I appreciate you jumping on too, and I always apologize or appreciate any of the likes that you guys can give me. It helps the channel. Okay, scrolling around on me. Recommend only having 20%. Yeah, I think USA kick your ass, and I love that. I think diversification is always a thing, and so when I talked about myself personally, I've been trimming my individual stocks. But when it comes to my ETFs, like when things get rich, I'm more likely to go there, and versus to go into individual stocks unless I find something I really like. So that's just me personally. It's harder to find something now. Like in March, in fact, I bought a lot of stuff probably before the bottom. I was getting antsy like in early March when the market was down only 10 to 20%. And so it's easy to buy that. And of course, there's a lot of things, but like as my Tesla thing, which I think I want to clarify from the last live stream, I did trim that position. I had, I did not go 2/3. I sold off a third, which basically protects me for whatever happens with Tesla. I still think it's going to hopefully continue to go up. But taking some profits is never a bad thing, especially if you think it's rich. I've been considering that with Amazon. I bought Amazon very cheap. It's been pretty flatlined for the last 4 months now, 5 months. So I'm still holding it, but I've thought about. But this is where I'm trimming because everything seems expensive to me. But that's because I'm more conservative when it comes to that as far as risk goes. Yeah, Xavier, I do keep thinking it's going to happen. And I thought, but I've been thinking it's going to happen since summer of last year, that there'd be a really significant one, like at least a 10%. We had a couple, like in October wasn't great, but we've never had that real big pullback. So if you're asking me, I think that we're ready for one, but it's just really what you want to believe. And again, had I been more aggressive, and people can say that I wasn't, and you would probably right. I've done well in the last year, but could have done more. But you just wait for that little pullback, and then you go forward. So, Matterport spec. That's one I'm not even familiar with, Sky. So thanks for asking that. I can add that to my list here. Let's see. Could go down to 18. I think it's possible, but I don't know. I think if you asked me based on what their earnings done and all the news that's come out since the direct listing, I would thought 18 would be probably a pretty good number right now. So that's what I know. But again, everybody's not pricing it based on valuations of the past. There's no question Palantir has been a very popular stock, and So when a stock's popular, and Tesla's another one, I own Tesla, and I do not own Palantir right at this point. And somebody asked me that this morning and thought I was trying to short the stock. That's, first of all, I don't short stocks. And I would never, try to do something to move it. But Tesla, I think it's overall, yes. But do I think I think it could go way down, but I think it could go way up. So I keep most of it. Palantir, I think, can go down. I don't. I think the upside now is probably you have a good chance for an upside before it probably goes down. I think it might. I think it could push 20 too. Do I think it goes much lower than that? Probably not. Just so much interest. I think the price target was 1 year. Yeah. I saw some of these price targets on other thumbnails on other YouTube channels. I just, Maddie, no, you know what? Live chats are usually just when I try to plan. I've planned a couple and I give you guys notice. This one was just really based on the news of a Palantir today, the GameStop thing. Just thought we could talk real quickly about it. I like to do a video when I can. Videos tend to take me, after the earnings, for example, I did that video. By the time I edit and process and all that, it comes out way late. And I thought, let's just get together really quick in live time and talk about it. So that's how it ended up today. $100, it could. I don't know. Neville says buy heavy on Palantir. It's a good argument. And so, I've often said it's a concern to think about the lockups. And do I think that we're completely through them all? I think there still could be some fallout, for instance, if I had a lot of shares of Palantir, I'm probably not selling all on one day. So we want to sort of see what happens. But I think, again, I don't think it's going to drop a lot. I do think that there's a risk on the downside for a little bit. I just don't think it's a huge risk. Some people think it's going to go back to $10. I think that would be really hard for that to happen at this point. I think you're more likely to get to $40 than to get to 10. Just a thought. Again, I don't predict nothing. 2050, I think that's a pretty good one. Again, it could. So we're starting to jump around, and I'm told you guys I'm going to hold this. I'm going to hold this quick. That does not mean I won't go through here. Oh wow, we got a lot. Thanks so much, guys, for jumping on here. It's a quick lit on this short notice. $14, Manish. It's possible. I don't know. Again, when I look at Palantir, it's about the price and the valuation, and there's different people how you argue that. I think it's a little pricey right now. I do. I think if they can legitimately give me some big contracts on the commercial side, I'm feeling better. Government side, I think it justifies them being in upper teens. I just don't know. Yeah, the other thing about Palantir being around, that's been for 19 years. They have there's over 2 billion shares out there, so it's amazing. I mean, when I was doing the math just from the S1 filing, there's a lot of shares out there. It's I really want to go through these. I'm not going to get to everybody here, and I apologize. I just want to hold this tighter. Yeah, you know what? It's a good thing. Did 45 before fourth quarter. A lot of it's going to be dependent on the whole market in of itself. What the market does. If you believe that the market's not going to have the year it had last year, and there's good reasons to think that, that could hold it back as anything else. But if their next earnings report and they fall anywhere below 30% for the next remaining quarters, there could be a sell-off. Yeah. I know a lot of people on here are not a big fan of analysts, and again, you never know what everybody's motives are. So when I talk about them, it's not because I necessarily believe them. Sometimes I think they have some good information, but I don't make a decision based on an analyst, and I don't make a decision based on anybody on the computer either. So keep that in mind. Yeah, CC. If you, depending on when you got CCIV, if it being up in your portfolio, if you got it in early enough, you're doing really good. I'm starting to really scroll here. Mystical. Oh, thanks for, you're late, but you made it. I'm not going to probably be much long, but thanks for jumping on. I will put up the replay and Mystical Rainbow. I love your username. And I love, and you have really nice comments, so thank you. And I really appreciate any comments that you guys give me, likes, and I do my best to answer them all. Sometimes they get away from me. YouTube doesn't always tell me that they come. Nettle thinks a lot of nonsense being spoken here. Again, everybody, I always say this. Sometimes people make a comment that it's going to go to $50 or $60 in like a month, and at the end of the day, I don't know. Do I think it could go to 10? It could. I don't know. I think it's really comes down to what I always feel this channel is about is you listen to the information, you find out what the facts are, number one. You find data and whatever. You can listen to people's opinion, but you go by what you feel is right. You shouldn't let anybody talk you into anything. And that's just what I'm all about on this channel. So I don't criticize anybody's point of view. The only thing I've always said is everybody just be very respectful to everybody. And that's it. Facebook Apple contract rumors. You know what? I heard a little bit about it, but I don't. I haven't heard anything else. So anybody else wants to add to that, feel free. It's something that, just give you guys with the channel. I would like to do a little bit more than just complete IPO stuff. So I would like to delve into a little bit more some other things. And it's just a question. Sometimes I get so much stuck in the week to weeks of the IPOs that, let's see here. A lot of good comments. Again, I'm going to just quickly, because I've already gone past my half hour, but I'm going to finish. I'm going to scoot up here. Yeah, Matt, well, you know what? You're a small startup investor. And you know what? I'm glad to have you because everybody, my perspective is the channel is really meant for me mostly to give you information, which is why you never hear me tell you to buy or sell or price targets. And it's really from the years I've been doing it since I've been, about 25 years of investing. So that's why, I enjoyed talking about it. The channel wasn't necessarily to be just about, IPOs and things like that. But anything I can do, to share information, that's what I do. But at the end of the day, always, keep learning on your own too. But we're great. But you're sort of probably my target demographic. There's a stimulus. Yeah, if the stimulus comes in at least at that 5.5 billion, they talked about 1.9, the compromise big 1.5, the market's going to like that. And then, the other thing to think about is where some of the stimulus could be, they've been talking so long for infrastructure. If that happens, certain industries, could you look at like a Caterpillar and think, oh, maybe that's where I need to put some more money on it? They've done well, at some part in the middle of the summer, they started catching up. So anyways, market is priced in here. Yeah, I tend to think that the market is holding the stimulus in there already as well. So it's a great point. I've been thinking about that for a while, which is why, again, I think the market just is ahead of itself, but take that for what it's worth. But having said that, if it happens, I do think that there will be some positives to it. Boy, things are jumping. Oh, Sky, my very first super chat. Thank you so much for that. Please analyze Matterport deal. And what I'm going to do is I am going to look in that, and I will definitely follow up with you because I don't have anything right now that I could talk about it. But I really appreciate that, Sky. Thanks for supporting the channel, and it's great to have you here. So Matterport deal, we'll follow up on that. Thank you. What else do we got here? Oh, and plus the 3 pleases. I pretty please would have been good. You give me 3 pleases, we're good. IBM is a sinking ship. The interesting thing, if you're talking about with the Palantir relationship, I think its limitations. IBM is not what it was in the 1980s, and it does not have the pool. And it's and it's was going to do so much with Watson and whatever, and I don't think it really had done that in the cloud. But I think that there are some positives with that relationship. But the fact that we didn't get any types of discussion of what it could potentially lead to, like that's what I would have liked to see. That's just me being maybe greedy from the earnings call. All right, guys, we're at the. I know I missed so many here, but we are 35 minutes in. So for the lack of doing this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I've been saying this for a while. I want to. I want to do more live streams, and I've been trying to get more. I need to give you probably a more specific time. And I'll do that. So this was a quick one. So thanks for jumping on. Really with no notice. But I definitely want to do that. Going back to next week, I will get back to our IPO this week. And there are some things I do want to look at. We started waiting for the Coinbase and the Roblox. The Coinbase and the Roblox direct listings. So I am planning on doing a direct listing video just about the new rules, what it could mean. That's something that's on the thing. So anyways, so much to talk about. But one of the things to think about, guys, and if you could maybe share this in some of the comments, is do you find, would it be better for you guys if I focused on more of the more popular IPOs and not every IPO like I do an IPO this week, and then take my time and spend it in some other areas, whether more on SPACs, whether more on just general investing topics? These are things like, if you can share that kind of feedback with me, I would love to know. So do that. And again, Sky, I really appreciate, again, I never had a super chat. So thank you and for supporting the channel and supporting me in more time doing this. So for this, I am going to let you guys go. Please remember, if you like the chats and you like doing this, like it. And I'll be talking to you soon. And what we'll do the next live stream, I'll give you guys more heads up when we're going to do it. I've been trying to move them around too, because so many people across the world have different times. And so doing them a little bit earlier is good for parts of the world, and probably have people on the West Coast not so good today. So anyways, all right, guys, have a good rest of your day. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.